In our first segment, we're going to talk about the uses of the Robert Crown Center, both inside and outside, how the center is currently used and how the new center will be used. And I'm joined by the folks that are actually worrying about how we use it today and how we're going to be using it in the future. First is Karen Danzig-Lyons, the director of the Evanston Public Library. Welcome, Karen. Lawrence Hemingway, the director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, and Erica Storley, the assistant city manager, who's coordinating the Robert Crown project. Lawrence, let me start with you. So the Robert Crown Center has been with us for many years. Talk a little bit about what are the current uses. So if we were to go out today and walk through the center, what would we see happening?
Thank you, Wally. Today, if you walked into the building, you would see quite a bit of activity on the ice. There's currently a full sheet of ice, and there is a studio sheet of ice, which is basically a half sheet of ice. And the activities or programs that you'll see on the ice go from hockey to figure skating to speed skating to our dancing on ice and all of our other ice-related activities that are currently going on at the facility. But you'll also see is our DCFS certified preschool taking place daily in the facility. That includes a preschool for 2-year-olds all the way up to 5-year-olds. It also includes after-school activities and an after-school program for kids once they are out of school as well. Then we also have our gymnasium. Unfortunately, because of our certification through DCFS, the gymnasium is not accessible to the general public until after 6 p.m.
So let me stop you right there. So we have the rooms for childcare, but you can't get to the gym because of what?
Because the gym is attached to the preschool, and during preschool hours, you can't have public access to the preschool for security of those.
So that gym sits empty then all day long on weekdays until what, the late afternoon?
That is correct, till approximately 6 p.m. each day.
Okay.
Once we have access to the gym, we do a variety of programs there throughout the week. We do rentals. We have a consistent group who comes in and rents the gym and do indoor soccer. There's some basketball that takes place. We do gymnastics and other martial arts in the space as well. But right now, the way the building is currently configured, those are the primary activities that take place inside the facility.
Mm-hmm. Now, outside, before we started building New Crown, those were soccer fields. Talk a little bit about how those fields were used.
Well, yeah, you had two baseball diamonds, and you had space that allowed us to draw soccer fields on there, and we had a multiple number of soccer fields that were there. But our biggest issue there was drainage. The existing fields didn't drain very well, and once you had any kind of precipitation or rain on the fields, we had to literally wait till they dry out. So it could rain today and we couldn't have access to those fields for another 2 or 3 days because the fields are sloshy and wet and just wasn't very accessible to play upon. And so at the new facility, with our new 3 artificial turf fields, we'll be able to play while it's raining. We'll be able to have immediate access. We won't lose time for our leagues that take place there. And so we're really excited about the opportunity that these new artificial turf fields that will provide us from a playability perspective.
So current Crown, what would you say a reasonable day starts at? You know, ice skaters, I guess what little I know about ice skaters, you hear about them being there before school hours. So is the rink open, at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning?
So the rink is currently open from 5:30 a.m. to midnight.
Okay.
So that's approximately 17, 18 hours a day.
Is that 7 days a week?
7 days a week. And we will keep that same schedule now with the access to 2 full sheets of ice, which is approximately 266 hours of ice time available for all the residents to enjoy.
And then obviously daycare during weekdays, and then evening activities. In the gym, still on ice. What else happens inside on the evenings and weekends then?
We still about the current facility?
The current facility.
So on weekends, yeah, you have ice activity. I mean, from 5:30 a.m. to midnight, but the gymnasium becomes accessible because preschool isn't open on Saturdays and Sundays. So we do gymnastics in our gym. We do a variety of dance classes. Again, we host some basketball or open gym for the public to come in and enjoy. And so a lot of activity around the gymnasium on weekends. There's a lot of rentals for private parties that take place in the gymnasium. The new facility will have access to our gym all the time.
Okay. And then the existing facility, there's some additional multi-purpose rooms, which are mostly for daycare, and they get used a little bit when daycare is not in session, maybe for community meetings. That's what I've seen over the years.
Yeah. We can host community meetings after the daycare is closed, but you're utilizing the daycare rooms
Right.
To host those current multi-purpose meetings or community meetings.
And there's no other rooms then available.
There's no other rooms available
ground.
in the current facility.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, so let's fast forward then to the new facility. Obviously, one of the biggest things we're adding, which doesn't exist, is a branch library. So Karen, maybe kind of orient us first with what we currently have. We have the main library downtown. We have a branch in North Evanston, and then we have the CAMS, the Chicago, Maine. I guess it was called the Mighty Twig at one point. I think it's just a plain old branch at this point. So those are three current facilities. About how many people do you serve currently in those three facilities?
We receive more than between 1,500 and 2,000 people through our doors a day. Our branches are open 5 days a week. The main library is open 7 days a week. And the new beautiful Robert Crown branch is going to be bigger than the two existing branches combined. So 6,000 square feet is a really nice sized branch. We also have an access to an exterior reading garden, and also adjacent to the new branch are 3 multi-purpose rooms that we're going to share programming with Parks and Rec and with others to make those spaces busy all the time. And many of the programs that our residents enjoy now at the main library and at the branches, we are going to bring to the new Robert Crown. So depending on the time of day, the feel of the branch will be very different. In the morning, we can work with story times for the preschool group. We can welcome senior citizens after school. Then we're hoping that the teens who are leaving ETHS swing by and do some maker activities or some coding activities, some digital learning, and their homework.
So there'll be computers at the new library?
There will be racks and racks of computers. So we'll have computers that are permanently affixed to a computer bar in the branch, but then we'll be able to roll out all kinds of laptops and Chromebooks for our residents to use. There's going to be a couple of new features in terms of access that I'm excited about. We will have a kiosk in the lobby where you can check out a laptop or a Chromebook and take that home with you. Mm-hmm. Right now we have use within the library, but we're going to pilot having people be able, with their library card, to check it out. Along with the hours where we have our staff there to serve you, we're going to be working with a relatively new to the U.S. It's been in Europe for a while. It's called Open Plus. So with a library card in good standing and with an agreement that you will respect the space, and there will be extended hours where the staff will not be in there, but you as a resident, you as an Open Plus member can come in if your computer dies or you're out of ink or you need to do some research or answer some questions. With our reference books, there will be extended ways for you to come in and use the service of the library and the materials.
So that's fascinating. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So normally a branch would close at what time?
Right now our branches close at 8 on Mondays and at 6 on the other days when we're open.
Okay, so generally 6. Mm-hmm. So this idea would be from 6 to how late would you think? I mean, the center's open till midnight.
Yes.
Right.
So would it be maybe that long, or would it vary depending on the day of the week? We're still working on it.
I'm smiling because we are having these discussions right now at our monthly board meetings, and if residents have ideas, we'd welcome them to come in. I know I'll never be able to staff our library from 5 a.m. till midnight.
Yeah.
We won't be able to afford that. But I love the idea of trusting our residents with their library and having that accessible to them for use for studying and for information seeking. So not only after the library is closed, not staffed, but also some earlier morning hours.
That's great. That's great. So obviously this is a new piece of Crown. Lawrence, talk a little bit about what now we're replicating. You've talked about sheets of ice, half sheets, full sheets. What are we going to get at the new center?
Well, one of the highlights is we'll be able to offer a new Take 2 class in our preschool. So just based on the current demand that we're currently having.
So we have to walk. Will you be able to get to the gymnasium in the new Crown without walking through the childcare, or will you still have to wait until childcare is closed?
Yes, sir. You'll be able. The gymnasium will be affixed upstairs in the new facility, and it'll be accessible to the public from the time that the building's open to the time that the building is closed. And so we're excited about that. So that preschool class expansion, as Karen mentioned, this facility will have some 3 multi-purpose rooms that we will share along with our library partner, which allows us to do a multitude of programming as well, even if that is a makerspace or other ideas that we are currently discussing collaboratively. We look forward to that. Also, you're going to have a dedicated art room. We don't have that at the current Crown. We're going to have a dedicated fitness room that allows us to run a variety of new fitness classes, everything from Tai Chi or Pilates or yoga. We have that opportunity to do those things now. We're going to be able to offer programs to our senior population in that facility as well to take advantage of some of these new fitness classes. And again, gym access from 6 a.m. till the close of the building. And so we're excited about that. So we envision the residents being able to come into open gym for 6 a.m. for a workout, shower, and head off to work. And that open gym could either be open basketball or open volleyball as early as 6 a.m. throughout the week. We also look for, expanding leagues. There's a huge demand for adult league play, both basketball and volleyball. We now have the opportunities to meet those demands here in the community because of the access to the gym. Our gymnastics program, we have a lot of our figure skaters that's currently participate in it, but you also have those that don't figure skate. We'll be able to expand the hours of gymnastics now as well to kind of meet the demand of the community. So we're really excited about having just full capability of operating the facility from the time that it's open without the restrictions that we currently do.
So let me make sure I got this clear. So we're going from a sheet and a half of ice to 2 sheets of ice. We're going to 3 multi-purpose rooms from 0, right? Because we really can't count the daycare rooms, although sometimes we use the multi-purpose. So 3 multi-purpose rooms, an art room, which would be new, the gymnasium, more or less similar to what we have in the current building, but will be available all hours that the building is open. The library, of course. Now, isn't there some sort of running track as well?
Yeah, it came to me after I stopped talking there. We were going to have, over one of the ice rinks, we're going to have an indoor, a 200-meter indoor walking/running track inside. That's also will be accessible from the time that the building's open.
Right.
For
so 3 degrees and snowing and people want to get their walk in, they don't have to do a treadmill. They can walk around.
They can walk around the indoor
sheets
track.
Of ice, yeah.
That's correct. It's a raised track above the ice rink, and we're excited. I mean, there's a lot of, it was one of the items that came out of our community meetings was some form of an indoor track. And so we're excited about that amenity as well.
And then outside, the plan is that once the building is constructed and open at the end of this year, we will then knock down the existing structure and we will put what in its place?
So in its place will be our 3 artificial turf fields and our new and the new parking lot. Those 3 artificial turf fields will, as I stated earlier, they will allow the programs of our program partners to really not lose playability. We have leagues that now have to sit for 48 hours after a rain. And so the fact that these new artificial turf fields will be there, there's no loss in league play. It actually gives us a chance to kind of expand our opportunity of play, and we're looking forward to that.
Great.
So, yes.
So we'll have a new building, we'll have new fields, we have to pay for it. And Erica, one of your responsibilities with this project has been to try to sort through the financing, how we pay for this. We're going to talk a little bit later in more detail about that. But there's been concern in the community about the agreements that we're making with local community partners, contracts, letters of interest, MOUs for fee that there would be use of the facility. Can you talk a little bit about those agreements and what, in general terms, they'll be providing to those partners?
Sure. So, yes, I've been working with several entities in the community to craft these user agreements and also naming rights agreements. So 2 separate types of agreements. What we're really striving to do is 2 things. Make sure that there's a balance between the time that the facility is open to the public. We want to make sure that the community has a greater amount of access than they currently have in the existing center, while also allowing for time for other user groups to pay rental fees to use the gym or use the ice and other parts of the center. And the other part that we're striving for is to make sure that the center is economically viable and that we can bring in revenue that will give us a stable outlook for the future of the center, so that we're understanding what our revenues are going to be coming in over the next several years. So many of these agreements that we're working on are 5-year agreements, 3-year agreements, things like that. So it's taking a little while to work through with the different entities, but we've already approved 2 agreements. The City Council approved them last month. Those were naming rights agreements with Wintrust Bank and Valley Produce. So we're excited to have those partners on board and those naming rights agreements complete. I'm still working with Beacon Academy, Northwestern University, North Shore University Health System, and Chicago Young Americans Hockey to finalize their agreements. I anticipate that we'll be bringing those to the City Council in June for approval. And like I said earlier, we're really just striving for balance. So like Lawrence was saying earlier, the gym is going to be way more accessible to the public. And now we're going to have an entity that's going to be renting that gym 3 hours a day of the 17 hours a day that it's open during the school year, and then paying a usage fee for each hour that they rent the gym. So that's going to be helping us make sure that we have a long-term stable source of revenue for the center.
So we'll talk later about the sponsorship agreements more in depth, but let's talk about the user agreements. So you mentioned 3 with Beacon Academy, Northwestern University, and then a youth hockey association. So are those the 3 user agreements that you contemplate will have in place before the facility opens at the end of the year?
There's a 4th one too, Evanston Hockey. I haven't gotten that one quite there yet, but we're getting close. Most of these have been in the works for many years, and just take some time to get all the details and T's crossed, I's dotted, making sure that we get the best deal for the residents of Evanston.
So 4 agreements total for users agreements. So Beacon Academy, I think you mentioned Beacon Academy is a local charter school here in Evanston. They're looking to use the gym. Why don't you just talk in general terms about what kind of uses they're contemplating?
Yes, so the Beacon Academy is going to utilize the gym, like I said, 3 hours a day during the school year for their fall sports and spring sports. The rest of the year.
Is this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, or would they have access on the weekend?
It's 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
5 days a week, yeah. I don't think they contemplate any weekend usage unless there's occasional games. But they won't be utilizing the space in the summertime. So basically from the end of the spring season until the start of the fall season, they won't be utilizing the space. And then we have Northwestern University, who does currently use the existing center. Their programming will stay the same. It will move to the new center. They have a club hockey team, plays about 8 or 9 games a year in the existing center. That will stay. They practice 3 hours a week from September until February. So that's not a lot of usage. I think overall, they're their games are double headers every weekend, so it's about 4 or 5 weekends a year, and then, like I said, 3 hours a week of practice time. So that's a pretty low impact use, but also a great partnership with them they're also going to be doing some digital literacy learning, some mentoring, a lot of programming with the youth. So they'll be using those multipurpose rooms in partnership with both Parks and Rec and the library to provide more programming for kids in the community to access during the rest of the time the facility's open. So that's very exciting. And then we have the Chicago Young Americans hockey team. They're a group that is paying a premium rate for the use of the facility, which is going to be great for us, like I said, to generate that revenue. They're going to be playing the same hockey season as everybody else, and they're also going to be having some tournaments, which will bring some people into Evanston for using the hotels and the restaurants. So that's going to be a great benefit for the community. And then the last one,
Evanston Hockey.
Evanston Hockey, yes, same programming as currently exists in the existing center, just moving over to the new center.
So of the 4 agreements, 3 are ice-related, and 1 is the gymnasium, correct?
Yes, and then Lawrence reminded me we also have some agreements that we haven't even started yet for the outdoor fields, because those are still a year away from being utilized, so we haven't gotten started on those yet, but Evanston Soccer.
And those outdoor agreements would be largely with the folks that were current users, previous users before we started construction.
Correct.
So of the 4 use agreements, 1 is with the gym, so you're saying 3 hours a day, more or less Monday through Friday, so that's 15 hours a week. And Lawrence, approximately how many hours in a week do you think that gym will be available?
120 hours.
Okay, so we're committing to 15 hours out of 120 hours, and then the balance of that time would be other activities, either by ourselves, open gym,
That's correct.
things like that.
That's correct.
The 3 hockey uses, 2 of which are current, the NU, so they would just continue the use that they currently have at Crown and Evanston Hockey, and then the Chicagoland group would be new to the center. About what do you think, how much, Lawrence, maybe I'll ask you this question, how much use all 3 of those together?
Percentage-wise, I mean, it's less than 20% overall. I trying to run the numbers here, but, it's not a lot of time because the majority of the time will be for the public.
Right.
But
and we have our existing programs,
and we have our
which would continue.
That's correct. No, there's no program being displaced or us losing it.
Right.
But as Erica talked about, it just gives us some consistent revenue for the new operations of the new facility, which is just as important.
So the gymnasium, obviously, there's going to be lots of opportunities to program that newly. We've talked about the multipurpose rooms, which will be brand new, some of which will be used with the library, and then the ice itself. How much new ice time do you think we're generating? Again, we haven't really talked about what the half sheet of ice is. It's sort of more of a training sheet.
Yes.
What kind of uses do you get on the half sheet currently?
So broom ball is probably the most popular thing on that half sheet, but it's limiting. It's really, you're depending on the skill level of your user. A lot of our users just prefer to be on the main sheet. Mm-hmm. So, younger children, your beginners could potentially utilize, and that's who utilizes more of the studio rink. The hockey guys kind of do a little warm up before they go to the main ice on there, just to get their blood flowing and get loose. But programmatically, it's just not an ideal situation with that studio ice. So having 2 full sheets of ice now allows us to truly program. I mean, we could pull the curtain on one of the rinks, and now you have a half sheet to do broom ball and do some half rink kind of activities.
So you could have figure skaters practicing on one half and broom ballers on another half with a curtain down the middle.
If that is what the demands require, that's correct.
So it sounds like we're picking up a lot of ice time. I mean, what in your, as the director of Parks and Recreation, what's your vision? I mean, what would you like, to provide the community from an ice perspective that we haven't been able to provide with all these other uses? What kind of new things do you look for?
Well, we've struggled the last couple of years with our speed skating program. And
wasn't there an Olympic speed skater who started it? What's his name?
Shawnee Davis.
That's right.
So we would really like to commit to getting our speed skating program up and running, as well as what's new and exciting for us. We will now be able to offer sled hockey.
What's that?
So sled hockey is where our members of the disabled community are able to sit on small sleds and play hockey.
Okay.
Our current facility is not designed and doesn't allow us to do that. The new facility will allow us to now support sled hockey as an existing new program. And so the fact that so vision-wise, that we can offer sled hockey to our residents here and really focus on our speed skating program, where we have such a rich history. We have an Olympic gold medalist who got his start here at the current Robert Crown. We're really looking forward to really focusing on trying to grow those two programs.
Great. My last question is about new community partners. Obviously, we're talking there's going to be a lot of time that we're going to be looking to program. Let me ask both Karen and Lawrence, who are you talking to? Who seems to be interested? Do we have anything in the works? And what are our plans moving forward over the next several months to reach out to perhaps new partners to either provide programming themselves or provide joint programming with them? Karen? Any thoughts?
We've been having community conversations, and we continue to connect with residents and small groups to learn what they want to see in terms of programming in their new branch library. So we're excited about welcoming the Latino community. We are excited about offering Sunday programs, family programs in English and in Spanish, and not only will the programming, many of the programs will be bilingual, the staff and the collection will be bilingual. So welcoming our residents, our Spanish-speaking residents, we're talking with different education-related groups and existing partners about bringing programs there, whether it's around digital literacy, early learning. We've continued to elevate our concentration on the preschool population and making sure our children are ready to learn when they enter kindergarten, but also looking at how we reach out to our senior citizens with digital learning, with memory cafes for those that are suffering with loss of memory and their caregivers, because often the caregiver population is not supported as much as it should be. Lawrence and I are talking with some existing digital learning for teens. So I want to mention that along with the 3 multi-purpose rooms that we share, there's a multi-purpose room within the library and 3 study rooms. So looking at how we support learning for all ages, tutoring, small groups, one-on-one learning is important. And we're talking with partners such as Center for Economic Progress that right now provides free tax preparation at the main library. I've asked them to analyze how many of their clients are residents that are more proximate to Robert Crown. So we may be moving some of our existing popular programs to Robert Crown for the convenience of our families, and certainly National Able, which does job training and job readiness, and they work with us in a space in the main library, talking to them about doing some job training and job readiness there. But it really is a conversation that's ongoing, and we'll experiment with programs and see what the response is, so that our library is relevant, it's engaging, and it's serving the community. Transportation's an issue, and so being much closer to this area of Evanston will invite a lot of new families and residents into the library and serve them in a new way that's meaningful for them. And of course, I'm really intrigued with working with Lawrence and his team, the whole idea of developing mind and body together. So if a family comes and some of them are in the gym or on the ice, and you want to check your email, or maybe the little kids get fidgety and they want to come into the library for a story time, how we program and marry our programming to complement the rest of the facility to serve the whole family will be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a good time for everybody.
So, Wally, we will be hosting a community organization meeting here within the next month to talk to all of the community-based organizations here in town, to give them an opportunity to share with them the vision, let them get familiar with the plan of the facility, and to continue the conversations about how we can better partner and invite them into the new space. There are some very specific conversations going on, as Karen alluded to, around digital learning for teens and some targeted populations. But I think with our upcoming discussion, we'll be able to really have input or get additional input from our community-based organizations that are right here in the community. It will be a chance for them to understand and see how they can come into the space, utilize the space so that they can also provide better services and opportunities to our residents. And so that meeting's coming up in the next month, and we're looking forward to seeing how that meeting evolves into some very specific conversations and programs.
So to wrap up, lots of community conversation about this project. I became city manager in 2009. There were 15 years of conversations about a new Robert Crown prior to my arrival. 10 years has passed. We've talked 10 more years. Maybe if you could just, each of you, talk about how you see the new Robert Crown fitting in to our community. What specific needs do you see it filling? It's a big project. It's costing a lot of money. How do you think what we've proposed and what we've just been talking about the last several minutes, fits with that community need? Erica, do you want to?
Sure, I'll start. So one of the things that strikes me most about Robert Crown is that it is the most utilized community center in Evanston, and we're doubling the size of it. So the fact that right now this center serves the most people in Evanston, and now we're going to have twice as much space and twice as many opportunities, like that to me is what's the most exciting part about it. I see there's so much tremendous value in what they talked about, marrying the athletics and the mind-body wellness with the learning and all of the opportunities that are going to be available in that realm. So for me, I think that's what's most exciting for the community about this project, and the fact that there's going to be so many different options for everybody. We didn't even talk about the kitchen. That's one thing. The kitchen, there's going to be a community kitchen in the facility that we can do all kinds of programming for, culinary programs, local foods, things like that. Just tons of opportunities. So many that we forgot one. So that's part of what I think is really exciting about the project.
Sure. Lawrence, what do you think?
Well, I think for me, the most exciting part is the opportunity for expansion. We're so limited with the existing building, and both internally and externally. And so this new facility will really provide the opportunity to be a fully functioning community center from the time that we open those doors. And so regardless of all the new programs and everything that we're doing, we have a real chance to really have a huge impact in terms of thinking outside the box, doing new and different exciting things, because we are not limited to or relegated to a certain time frame. And so the staff and I are hard at work thinking about those. We're opening our door to all those conversations. And so we're really excited about what the expansion opportunities and the new programmatic opportunities that are going to be in this new space.
Karen, you get the final word.
I think that the new co-location of a branch library with a community center that already has a strong following lets us leverage the best of what each of us does and welcome new families and new residents in a way that is comfortable for them. We have books. We have hundreds of linear feet of books, but it's a library is a special place. A library is a service, but a library is a community builder. And so welcoming those new community connections, whether it's with a community of athletes or with our local residents many of which are Spanish-speaking, in an area of the city that we need to do as a library a better job of serving. And so this opportunity of a beautiful facility with partners that are existing and welcoming new residents, I think will just make that the place to be. It's going to be beautiful, it's going to be fun, and we can't wait to open it.
Great. Let me thank Karen Danzig-Lyons, the Director of the Evanston Public Library, Lawrence Hemingway, the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services, and Eric Storley, the Assistant City Manager, for joining me on this first segment as we talk about the Robert Crown Project. Our next segment, we're going to go out to the site itself, and we're going to take a tour and get a sense of where the construction stands right now.